Michael, we good? All right, let's do it, Steve.
This is Steve Schmidt with The Warning, and I am thrilled this afternoon to be bringing you these historic events from Minnesota. Ken Harbaugh is on the ground. Ken is president of the Valor Media Network, a steering committee member of the Save America movement. Ken, what is the scene in Minnesota that you're seeing right now?
There are, I am not exaggerating, tens of thousands of people behind me, and they are streaming in. Ben, if you can pan the camera, there is a never-ending stream of people showing up to Powderhorn Park, not far from where Renee Nicole Good was murdered. The crowd extends past where the eye can see and all the way down into the park. In fact, the crowd is so dense that we could not get a signal. We could not get any bandwidth to be able to talk to you and had to knock on a neighbor's door to borrow their Wi-Fi. We're not going to show the house or their address, but I think that is a testament to the spirit of this city. It is the most neighborly place I have ever reported from, and the ICE agents who descended upon the city are not from here.
The ICE agents, where are they right now? How close are you to them? How close are they to this protest? And how heavily armed are they?
Well, there have been helicopters flying overhead. It's hard to distinguish the government helicopters from the news helicopters, but there's definitely police presence. We know that ICE agents are staying in Hilton properties around the city. We were at the Hilton Canopy downtown last night. Again, thousands of protesters making sure that they didn't get the peace they deserved after they killed one of their neighbors, Renee Good.
The crowd, Ken, is it young? Is it old? Is it a cross-section of Minnesota?
It's a cross-section of America. I talked to a gentleman on my way through the crowd who drove up from Iowa. But it is predominantly Minnesotans and folks from the Twin Cities who've come out to have their voices heard. And I tell you, these are tough people. I'm from Cleveland, which I think gets cold. It's not cold like it is here. And I don't know, I'm surprised we haven't seen someone in shorts today. If ICE thinks they can intimidate the people of Minneapolis, St. Paul, they got another thing coming.
Ken, what was the reaction to people that you're talking about that after the tape came out yesterday that we now know the ICE murderer, Jonathan Ross, after he shot Renee Good, murdering her, shooting her in the head, that he exclaimed, "fucking bitch"? How has that information been received on the ground by our fellow citizens?
Well, it is all adding up. The fact that in the minutes after the murder, the Secretary of Homeland Security called this woman a domestic terrorist. I've heard probably a dozen times that if she's a domestic terrorist, we're all domestic terrorists. The fact that that video you just referenced was released by a right-wing media outlet because they thought it made their guy look good. I mean, that is another window into the thinking of the ICE leadership and the DHS leadership that are doing this to the city. And the fact that before that ICE agent shot Renee Good in the face and called her an effing bitch, the last thing she said to him, her last words were, "I'm not mad at you, man." You know, that's the other thing that I think needs to be said about this crowd. There is resolve. There is determination. There isn't the kind of angry bloodlust that is being visited upon them, though. This is a crowd that is determined to protect their neighbors and to preserve their freedoms. It's not a vengeful crowd.
Is it a hopeful crowd?
That's hard to say. There is an air of menace around this city. I talked to a faith leader yesterday. We ran that interview live, but I've talked to many faith leaders since who will not go on camera because they are afraid of their own government. You heard one of our guests yesterday talk about how the city has closed the schools. I'm hearing until at least January 12th because they are afraid of the federal government. Faith leaders around the city are rallying to the support of their immigrant neighbors who can't leave their homes to go shopping. They're putting together meal packages, distributing them across the city, but they don't want anybody reporting on it in person because they are afraid of retaliation. Faith leaders are terrified that the federal government is going to knock down doors of churches to keep them from feeding their neighbors. So, hopeful? I think there is a strain of hope, but it's on a knife's edge because the federal government, ICE and DHS, is trying to crush the spirit of this city.
When you're talking to people, are they resolved to the degree that they believe in the end that we will prevail and that America will remain America? Or do they feel like it is all up in the air?
Yeah, no, you see the number of American flags here. There are more American flags than any other flags, as it should be. And I have heard this pointed out time and again as well. ICE can't do this in more than one city at a time. Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul is the front line right now because this is all ICE can pull off. There are more of us than there are of them. You'll hear that 100 times a day. There are more of us than there are of them. And in that sense, yes, America, as you and I think of America, Steve, is going to win this. ICE's America is not going to lose this because ICE is a bunch of cowards, and cowards never win in the long run.
The attitude of the people on the streets that you're talking to in the aftermath of the last 100 hours towards ICE, do they have a message for the rest of the country that you could share?
Yes, they have a message for the rest of the country, and they have a message for ICE. I think the message for the rest of the country was captured vividly in another video that came out today from Minneapolis, where a government agent came up, approached a woman and said, "Haven't you learned your lesson? Didn't you learn your lesson from what happened yesterday?" The answer to which is, what's the lesson? And then he assaulted her. The lesson appears to be, if you express yourself, if you assert your rights, if you honor the First Amendment of the Constitution, we are going to shoot you in the face. I don't think anybody is intimidated by that. Again, there are more of us than there are of them. I've lost the thread of your question, but the resolve is palpable in this crowd, and the message for the rest of America is to follow Minneapolis' example, because they can only do this one city, meaning ICE can only hit one city at a time, and they need to get this reaction every damn time.
Save America Movement cameras are on the ground. We are filming as we have in cities across America from the beginning. Save America Movement will assert its First Amendment constitutional rights. We will photograph these men and women behind the mask. We will do everything that we can to identify them in the public. It is nonsense that it is illegal to record an ICE agent. It is nonsense that it is illegal to identify an ICE agent, as Kristi Noem has said. As we identify these ICE agents and we find out who they are, no doubt many of them will have white supremacist ties, Proud Boy ties. As it appears, Jonathan Ross was a MAGA fanatic and a Proud Boy sympathizer. But we will root out the extremism, and we will use the First Amendment as our sword and our shield, and we will not be afraid. Do you, Ken, feel fortified with all of those people? So many people experience MAGA and these offenses against our liberty looking at their phone with themselves alone. What does it feel like to be in a crowd that is courageous and fearless and unintimidated?
I feel fortified, 100%, and they are still flowing in. Ben, I know you can't hear Steve, but if you can pan the crowd and show just how far it extends, maybe lift the camera. I can't see the edge of it on any side. They are streaming across the park. It feels like the whole Twin Cities has turned out for this protest. And if they can do it in a city where ICE just murdered one of their neighbors, we ought to be able to do it anywhere in America. We can certainly do it from the comfort of our own homes, behind our own cell phones. We can certainly offer the kind of support to this community, to organizations like Save America Movement that are doing the work of telling the truth, because ICE is trying to drown that out. They are trying to flood the airwaves with their own propaganda. Why do you think Bovino shows up early in the morning to every raid to be on camera without actually taking the risks themselves? It is an information war, and I don't see how ICE wins against the kind of resolve we see here today.
Again, very important to understand, everybody, that before any details were known, a mom, Renee Good, her brains splattered out across her car, a dog in the back seat, toys on the floor of the car, was denounced as if she were a peer of Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols and Ted Kaczynski and Eric Rudolph. She was smeared as a domestic terrorist by propagandists in service of a fascist government. Her body was desecrated by ICE, who prevented a physician from reaching it. And here is the result. The American people have revolted against this indecency with peaceful protests. And ICE, as Ken has pointed out, can neither imprison half of us or kill all of us.
That's right, Steve, and I think this is going to spread. It feels like a tipping point. It feels like a spark. And one more observation, and I have hesitated to make this, but I can't escape it. I was in Kherson not long after the liberation from Russian occupation. I felt some of that same undercurrent of fear, because they would come knocking, the Russian intelligence services would come knocking on doors in the middle of the night to disappear people. But the people of Kherson rose up and they drove out the Russians. And the parallel isn't perfect, but I think the spirit of Kherson, I think I might have one of the patches from one of the units I embedded with. That spirit feels alive here in this crowd. And it's a patriotic one. That's the ultimate message. When you see the number of American flags, it is a patriotic one. These people love their country more than any ICE agent can possibly fathom.
I think it's really important for people to understand who are watching this that it is Minnesota that saved the United States of America at a moment in time where the United States came within 60 seconds of being defeated by the Confederate States at Gettysburg. There was a New York congressman named Dan Sickles, an incompetent, who was most famous for shooting his wife's, shooting his mistress's husband in the head. And his was the first insanity defense in the United States. And he wound up commanding a division and put his division in the wrong place. Thousands of Alabama troops were streaming towards the Union line, and what would have happened is, if they breached it, is they would have taken the high ground, and there would have been nothing between the Capitol building in Washington and the Confederate Army. A man named William Scott Hancock rode down the line, and he asked the question, "What unit is this?" They replied, "The 1st Minnesota." A few hundred men fixed bayonets and charged against thousands of Confederates. It remains through this hour, the highest casualty action in the history of the United States military, 84% wounded. But the 1st Minnesota saved the nation. And what's happening in Minnesota today is restorative to the soul of America after tragedy. Indeed, America is being saved by the patriots of Minnesota. And today, there are thousands of protests now taking place across the country against the murder, against the insanity of Donald Trump saying that he is only constrained by his morality. The American people will not stand for it, and we're seeing it live behind Ken Harbaugh right now. Ken, before I let you go, before I let you go, I just want to open the floor to any observations, any final witness that you have to what's going on that you'd like to share.
ICE picked the wrong city to test. They picked the wrong city in which to murder a neighbor. But I think, as you've alluded to, Steve, that this resistance should fortify the soul of all of America. And I don't think ICE will be able to go to any city in the country after seeing this without them finally being the ones to feel a little bit of fear.
America shall not go gently into that good night. We are the Save America Movement. SaveAmericaMovement.org is how you sign up, how you get involved. And what I'll say is this. We got 11 months to Election Day where we can sweep these MAGA Republicans out of power, restore the checks and balances, and put ICE on a leash and a muzzle over their masks.
Thank you, Steve.
Ken?
Then as we fade out, can you get a shot of the crowd? We will.
You got it.
Check this out as we cut, Steve. It's extraordinary.
Incredible. Incredible scenes in Minnesota, everybody. The American people rising up. The American people making their voices heard in this, the 250th year of the independence of the United States of America. And this proposition that's being laid out today seems to be an uncompromising one. The assertion that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Renee Good's pursuit of happiness was stolen by a murderer named Jonathan Roth. Her liberty was taken by an oppressive government that smashed its jackboot down on her skull, and now you see the response. You see the response of patriots. You see the response of young people, old people, black people, white people, Hispanic people, Somali Americans, Irish Americans. The great mosaic, the great melting pot come together in defense of liberty. There have only ever been, my friends, 700 million Americans. Half of us who have ever been are alive right now. And this generation of Americans will not let our inheritance be stolen. We will not. Everybody, thank you for joining. Get involved, get engaged, stay in the fight. Follow Ken Harbaugh, follow the Save America movement, get engaged. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Steve.